It's been known for many years, centuries even, that ants and termites don't get along. They don't like each other. They often have violent conflicts, where the ants invade the termite nests, and many bugs on either side are crushed or chewed up or pinched to death. Antennae can be torn off of heads, eyes can be poked and scraped, and legs can be ripped off with a joint or torn right out of the socket. It's brutal business. A year ago, a study came out documenting how some ants of the species Megapanera analis would carry their wounded friends back to the nest. The ants engaged in a kind of triage, picking up the wounded to save while ignoring those with too much damage and leaving them behind to die on the battlefield. Now, a new study, recently published in the journal Proceedings of the Royal Society B, documented how exactly this works, and what happens to these wounded warriors when they return to the nest. The study was conducted by Eric Frank, Martin Verhan, and Edward Linsenmayer, who found that the ants' behavior here operates on an ecological basis. The ants protect and help their wounded to help them heal and get back into the action of gathering food and raiding more termite nests. Apparently, it's a kind of help the individual help the hive kind of thing. They discovered that when an ant gets injured, it releases a pheromone signal that tells other ants nearby, "I'm injured, help me." Other ants will then come by and pick up and carry or roll the injured ant back to the hive, back to safety. The researchers found that this pheromone was released by the injured ant and not the helper ants, because ants that were too heavily injured wouldn't secrete the signal at all. If they were too damaged, like if they lost 4 or 5 or 6 legs, or if they were blinded, or if they had their abdomen torn open or something, if they were pretty much terminally injured, they wouldn't release the signal, and they'd make themselves invisible, so the hive won't notice them and won't waste resources and manpower carrying them back to the hive and trying to heal them. Somehow, they recognize that they're doomed, and so they don't try to get saved. The researchers even painted the pheromone onto some heavily damaged ants, and this had some really interesting results. The helper ants would detect the signal, and they would come to help, but the heavily injured ant would resist. It would go limp, or it would curl up and make it difficult for it to be moved. It would fight off its helpers and basically force them to give up and go help some other ant that has a better chance at surviving. This is the mentality of the hive goes first, in action. You see an individual ant who knows somehow, on some biochemical basis, that he's too wounded, and so he refuses to be healed, he refuses to be recovered. He says, spend the resources somewhere else, I'm a lost cause. The researchers also found that inside of the hive, the wounded ants that were taken back would be the subject of intense medical treatment. The injured ants get surrounded by other ants, and they all take 2 or 3 minute turns licking at the severed stumps with their insect tongue analogs. And these are kind of like soft little thumb-shaped projections coming out near the ant's mouth. So that they kind of massage the damaged limb, and it's believed that they secrete some kind of antibiotic into the limb to protect it from getting infected. The cleaning behavior would also remove dirt and other things that could cause infection, like maybe fungal spores or yeast or something like that. The results of this medical treatment are actually really impressive, as the injured ants who got this medical treatment had a 90% survival rate after 24 hours, compared to the 20% survival rate in the ants who were injured but went without treatment. The surviving ants can then go on to live with their injuries, and they can still do work to benefit and support the hive. I'm going to wrap this news episode up with a quote from the lead author of the study. About this medical treatment in the ants, Eric Frank said, and I quote, "I'm always amazed and in awe of the behavioral complexities ant societies are able to show, without any type of central organization or consciousness. The individual ant does not know why it treats the injured to prevent an infection, or why the heavily injured ant does not call for help, because it would not be of use in the future. They simply do it because they follow very simple rules, be it chemical cues or otherwise, and because evolution selected for these behaviors, since they increased overall fitness. That is what amazes me the most, how far evolution can lead to very specialized and sophisticated behaviors." Unquote.